So, today I want to talk about a topic that I think is pretty fitting to how I've been running this channel lately, that being procrastination. But before I dive into that, I want to take a quick moment to catch you up on where I've been these past couple of years. The last time I posted here was about 2 years ago, right before I started my first year of university. My school's about 3 hours away from home, so that meant packing up, saying bye to my family and friends, and just stepping into this whole new chapter of my life. College has honestly been a wild ride thus far. I've met a whole slew of different people, some of who I know I'll be lifelong friends, and others who were more like life lessons than lasting connections, if you know what I mean. For a while, I even got caught up in the social side of things, going out, hitting parties, staying up until sunrise, the whole cliche college lifestyle. But along with that, I've also been learning how to balance everything: classes, people, my own goals, and honestly, myself. Academically, I've been studying film with a minor in marketing, and that's been eye-opening in itself. Working on short films, collaborating with other students, learning how stories are built and sold, it's made me look at the world a little differently. It's also made me realize how much effort it takes to really create something meaningful. And all of that, the friendships, the late nights, the deadlines, the creative projects, has really changed the way I see life. I feel like I've matured a lot compared to who I was when I first started this channel, which, funny enough, ties back into my very first video on here, the one about change. I talked back then about how change can be difficult, uncomfortable even, and slow, but also how it can be the starting point for something really positive. I think college has been that for me. It's been tough at times, but I can honestly say I've grown through it. If you guys would like me to make a video dedicated just to my college experience, the highs, the lows, and everything in between, let me know down in the comments below. I'd love to dive into that more. But for now, let's get into today's topic: procrastination. We've all been there. We all know it. We've all dabbled in it when we have that one assignment we know we must get to, but decide to hold off to the last possible minute because we swear to ourselves that deadlines only influence creativity. Procrastination can be a real hurdle for some, myself included. However, like any issue in life, there are ways to overcome it, and I wanted to share what's worked for me to hopefully give you a sense of what you could try to conquer this mental block we all face. Now understand, I am not perfect, far from it actually, and that I still deal with procrastination and sometimes decide to do nothing about it. So if you ever fall into that hole, know you are not alone, but also realize that it truly is a learning curve, and also that everyone is different. So what may work for me may not work for you, and vice versa, but that's okay. This video is only to get the gears turning in your head as to what might work in your scenario. With that out of the way, let's dive into some techniques that I think may be of aid. Firstly, break bigger, more extensive tasks into smaller, more manageable ones. When you look at a whole project, it can feel overwhelming, like a giant wall you have to climb. But if you break it down into smaller steps, suddenly it feels doable and achievable. For example, in one of my film classes I'm taking this semester, Short Script 1, I have to write a 1-page script, a 5-page script, and finally a 10-page script, all with original and meaningful dialogue. To me, right now, the idea of that just seems like such a tall order. However, putting this method into practice, I don't have to view these projects as insurmountable assignments. I can view it as, okay, first come up with an idea. That's not so bad. And then, now that I have that, write a couple of lines of dialogue, etc. When I chunk down the workload into smaller tasks, it doesn't seem as daunting as it once did. And here's the cool part. Once you've checklisted those smaller tasks from your to-do list, momentum starts to build, and before you know it, you're actually making progress. Another technique I've used is the 2-minute rule. The idea is simple. If something takes less than 2 minutes, just do it right away. Get it over with. And if it's a bigger task, commit to working on it for just 2 minutes. Usually once you start, you keep going because the hardest part is just getting the ball rolling. Rewarding yourself is another big one. Sometimes I'll tell myself, once I finish editing this video, I'll treat myself to a snack. Or after I get through this assignment, I'll continue watching an episode of my favorite show. It gives you something to look forward to and makes the grind a little more enjoyable in my opinion. Accountability partners can work similarly. Just having a friend who knows what you're working on and who checks in on your progress could push you to get things done. Like when I created Interactive Interlude 2 years ago, I actually had an accountability partner who helped me in starting it up and who also ran the Instagram page for the channel. He has even covered a topic on this channel in the past, specifically love. So if you want to hear from him, be sure to check out that video. He's a real stand-up guy and has a ton of wisdom under his belt. He did a great job covering that topic. I'll put a link to that video in the description below. But the point I'm trying to get at is that if I didn't have an accountability partner, this channel might not have been made. Sometimes having someone by your side who understands you is enough. And finally, this is a big one. Letting go of perfection. A lot of procrastination comes from being afraid of not doing something well enough. As a textbook perfectionist myself, I relate to this way too heavily. For that's one reason I took a break from YouTube. Obviously the main one being starting my first year in college. But one more ancillary reason being the fear of not excelling and not upping the ante from my last video. I always, and still to this day, feel the need to outperform what I've done in the past, which causes me to put off certain things, in this case Interactive Interlude. But the truth is, a rough draft and an imperfect start is better than nothing at all. You can always refine and improve later, but you can't fix something that doesn't exist. There's something that Dan Povenmire, the creator of Phineas and Ferb, said that I'll never forget regarding writer's block. Still, the same can be applied to procrastination. He said, and I quote, "Just write. Everything can be edited later." Now just interpret it through the lens of procrastination. And actually, to circle back on something that I was talking about earlier for my short script class regarding the dialogue, because I'm presenting it in front of 20 or so people, I feel the need to outperform myself and write some of the most poignant Shakespearean dialogue I've ever written. I'm obviously exaggerating, but the truth of the matter is, I'll never get to that place of feeling satisfied with what I've made if I never start. So I encourage you to. If there's something you've been holding off on, or a chore that's been egging you on to complete, or a book that still needs to be read, or any other thing there is that you need to do, but just don't feel the motivation to do it, once again, I encourage you to make that small step forward. You got this. Now, with that being said, I have a script to write. Thank you to everyone for your patience. I know this video was a long time coming. Definitely write what you guys have been up to in the comments below. Once again, I'd love to hear where you guys are at in life. I promise my upload schedule moving forward will be a little more consistent, to say the least. However, given that I am now a junior in college and the semester just started, I may not be able to post weekly, but we'll see. I'll make sure to keep you all updated using channel posts. And as always, thank you for taking a long overdue pause in your life with me, and I hope to see you around.